No pudo ser. No pudo ser para Suga, para Chito Vera. Una victoria sólida para Sean O'Malley. Una clase magistral. Una total clase magistral que ofreció O'Malley. Y uno se pregunta, ¿qué hubiera cambiado, verdad? ¿Qué hubiera cambiado si el perro que vimos por parte de O'Malley al final hubiera despertado un poquito más temprano? ¿Qué hubiera pasado? Porque yo creo que Suga recibió el camino demasiado abierto en los primeros 3 asaltos. Demasiado abierto. Y creo que Chito, como siempre, trabajó mucho más al final. Trabajó mucho más, no fue suficiente, probablemente no hubiera sido suficiente. Pero creo que Chito, sabiendo su durabilidad, sabiendo lo que él hace, sabiendo todo lo que él aguanta de golpes, y siempre dijimos que iba a ganar O'Malley por esta vía, porque nunca nadie ha noqueado a Chito Vera. Nunca nadie lo ha noqueado. Pero sabiendo eso, uno se pregunta por qué no fue más incisivo desde el principio, por qué no atacó más, por qué no buscó más el cuerpo, por qué no pateó más. Yo creo que básicamente Chito no estuvo lo suficientemente activo en los primeros 3 asaltos. Pero también hay que darle, Ebro, gracias, hay que darle mérito, mucho mérito a Sean O'Malley. Hay que darle mucho mérito a Sean O'Malley por la forma en que él se proyectó, por la forma en que él se movió. Yo creo que el trabajo de piernas fue todo aquí. Hubo dos cosas fundamentales para explicar la victoria de Sean O'Malley: la velocidad de manos y los movimientos con las piernas. Esto es algo muy importante. Los movimientos con las piernas, la forma en que él se movió, la forma en que él fue haciendo la finta, me recordó en parte al mejor Israel Adesanya. Para un striker de esta capacidad, esto es algo vital. Y este movimiento de pierna, la forma en que Sean O'Malley se viraba de una forma a otra, a la izquierda, a la derecha, yo creo que fue algo que confundió muchísimo a Marlon Chito Vera. Y lo otro es la velocidad. Yo siempre, y lo acabo de poner en Twitter, la frase que dice "Speed kills", la velocidad mata. Y siento que esta velocidad fue demasiada para Marlon Chito Vera. Marlon Chito Vera, que no pudo descifrar nunca esta velocidad. Y con estas combinaciones, pues fue básicamente acabando con Chito Vera. Y cuando Chito Vera se dedica a actuar más, porque yo creo que Chito Vera mejora mucho en el cuarto, y en el quinto hace más, pero ya también está más destruido, está más cansado, está más agotado, ha recibido mucho más castigo, y por eso no puede con Sean O'Malley. Yo creo que queda sobreentendido que no podemos dudar de lo que es O'Malley como peleador. Creo que queda sobreentendido que tenemos que darle a O'Malley el mérito que merece, lo que ha crecido, lo que ha hecho, cómo ha evolucionado. Hoy demostró contra un tremendo peleador, porque hay que decir una cosa, señores. O'Malley había prometido un knockout espectacular. O'Malley había prometido un knockout que iba a convertirse en algo viral. Ustedes recuerdan la entrevista que él me dio a mí. En la entrevista que él me da a mí, él había prometido algo fuera de lo común, algo espectacular, y no lo logró. Es verdad que gana la pelea y la gana bien, la gana con mucha facilidad. O sea, Chito no ganó un round. Estamos de acuerdo en eso. Chito no ganó un round. Y por eso el resultado unánime de los jueces en todos los rounds. Chito, por mucho que mejoró en el cuarto y por mucho que mejoró en el quinto, no fue suficiente para hacerle un daño significativo a O'Malley. Creo que el mejor golpe se lo da justo al final. El mejor golpe es una rodilla que llega justo al final. Pero ya es demasiado tarde. Demasiado tarde. Es tan duro, Chito. Es tan duro, Chito, que ustedes vieron cómo terminó O'Malley. ¿Cuándo ustedes recuerdan haber visto a O'Malley terminar de esa forma? Sangrando por la boca. ¿Cuándo ustedes recuerdan a O'Malley llegar a 5 asaltos? Terminó cansado. Y al final, Sean O'Malley reconoció lo duro que es Chito. Reconoció lo duro que es Chito. Y sí, es durísimo Chito Vera. Durísimo. Pero esa durabilidad no le alcanzaba. Esa durabilidad no era suficiente. Esa durabilidad no fue la herramienta para llevar a Chito a la victoria. Hay que decirlo así, sencillamente. Duele, yo sé que duele a todos los fanáticos ecuatorianos que vinieron, pero ¿saben qué? Yo creo que Chito mostró un corazón tremendo. Hay un momento en la... Creo que fue en el tercer asalto. En el tercer asalto, O'Malley le conecta a Chito un rodillazo tan fuerte que sonó en la arena. Yo estaba ahí en primera fila. Sonó en la arena como si le hubieran dado con una barrena de concreto. Todos los periodistas que estábamos allí pensamos que Chito no iba a sobrevivir. Y sin embargo, lo hizo. Pero como dicen por ahí, no hay premio de consuelo. Hay un premio de coraje, hay un premio de valor, pero no hay premio de consuelo. Y creo que una vez más, Chito comienza tarde. Vuelvo y repito, a lo mejor no hubiera sido suficiente, a lo mejor no hubiera alcanzado, pero Chito comienza a trabajar. Chito comienza a trabajar bastante tarde. Y eso es lo que hace que uno diga, ¿qué hubiera pasado? ¿Qué hubiera pasado si él hubiese actuado desde más temprano? Si él hubiera buscado más el cuerpo, el volumen. Porque, créanme, Chito le conectó a O'Malley como nunca nadie le ha conectado. Como nunca nadie. Pero no es suficiente. No es en lo absoluto suficiente. Señores, gracias a todos por estar conmigo. Yo voy a estar con ustedes hasta que comiencen las entrevistas. Gracias a todos por estar conmigo. A lo mejor le pongo alguna entrevista para que puedan ver aquí cómo se desarrolla una conferencia de prensa. Pero tremenda cartelera. Tremenda cartelera. Y al final, y esto es algo que quiero comentar con ustedes, al final, ¿qué nombre fue el que sonó? ¿Cuál fue el nombre que se hizo más pronunciado? Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria. Le preguntaron a Sean O'Malley qué quería para la siguiente pelea. Ilia Topuria. ¿Ustedes se imaginan Ilia Topuria contra Sean O'Malley en el Bernabéu, en Madrid, ante 80.000 personas? Sería algo espectacular. Yo no sé si la UFC lo va a hacer. Pero es algo para pensarlo. Yo creo que hay una opción, y es la opción de Merab Dvalishvili. La opción de Merab Dvalishvili es la opción deportiva. La opción de Merab Dvalishvili es la opción de, digamos, el ranking. Lo que el ranking dice.
We got about 15 minutes with him. About 15 minutes with Dana.
Viene de Nahuay y cuando venga se los voy a poner para que ustedes lo vean. Cuando venga de Nahuay se los voy a poner para que ustedes escuchen lo que dice de Nahuay en vivo para toda la gente de Cerebro en los Deportes. Gracias, Livestorm, gracias, te damos. Gracias, hermano. Muchas gracias por la membresía, señores. Gracias a todos por sus likes. Tengo un poco de catarro. ¿Qué les pareció? Es que tenemos tantas cosas. Mañana con calma, yo en la casa les voy a hablar con mucha calma de todo esto. ¿Qué les pareció la pelea de Dustin Poirier? La pelea de Dustin Poirier, espectacular. Totalmente espectacular. Una pelea de idas y venidas. Todos los periodistas estábamos de pie. Allí, todo el mundo de pie, todo el mundo emocionado por lo que había pasado con la pelea de Dustin Poirier. En un momento en que las encuestas, los pronósticos, todo el mundo decía que iba a ganar Dustin Poirier. El knockout de Robelis Despaigne, espectacular. La victoria de Curtis Blades sobre Ayrton Almeida. La victoria de Jack de la Magdalena, espectacular. Todo fue bueno. La pelea de Peter Yan contra Son Yadong. La pelea de Peter Yan contra Son Yadong fue algo realmente fuera de liga. Muy fuera de liga. Pero yo creo que esta pelea fue el punto final, el punto de quiebre de esta cartelera. Esta pelea fue algo que vamos a recordar. Yo dije, va a ser una buena pelea. Y va a ser una buena pelea porque también O'Malley no rechazó el intercambio. Va a ser una buena pelea porque O'Malley vino buscando a Chito. No se dedicó simplemente a correr o a dar vuelta en círculo. Creo que O'Malley se ha ganado el respeto. En esta pelea donde él no noqueó, en esta pelea donde él no puso ese video espectacular que él quería, yo creo que se ha ganado el respeto de todos nosotros por lo que hizo. Y sin duda alguna, una pelea de O'Malley contra Ilia Topuria llenaría cualquier arena. Llenaría cualquier arena. Ilia Topuria ahora mismo en España debe estar muy feliz. Pero muy feliz. Porque el hecho de que alguien como Sean O'Malley, que para muchos es la gran figura de los deportes de combate, ahora mismo en esta empresa, el hecho que haya mencionado a Topuria pone a Topuria también en un lugar importantísimo. Hay dos opciones. Pondrías la pelea de Merat y O'Malley, harías la revancha inmediata de Topuria contra Volkanovski, o pondrías a esperar a Merat y pondrías a esperar a Volkanovski. Volkanovski no tendría ningún problema con esperar. Ningún problema. Merat sí se pondría bastante bravo. Muy bravo. Pero al final la empresa es una empresa que quiere hacer plata. Es una empresa que quiere hacer mucho dinero. Y esta empresa evidentemente sabe que la pelea ahora mismo del dinero es Ilia Topuria contra Chito Vera. En España, en el Bernabéu o en Las Vegas, donde quiera que la hagan. Yo les voy a dar mi opinión. Yo no soy tan partidario de que un campeón reciente suba de división. Yo no fui partidario también de que un campeón que lleva poco tiempo suba de división. Yo creo que un problema que ha tenido la división ligera es que Islam no ha defendido contra nadie de la división. Islam ha tenido 2 peleas contra alguien de una división menor. Topuria acaba de ganar su título. Y O'Malley tiene también una defensa. No estoy de acuerdo con eso, pero entiendo el dinero. Entiendo lo que viene con eso. Y para Chito, ¿qué es lo que viene? Descanso. Mucho descanso. Eso es lo que viene para Chito Vera. Mucho descanso y con la familia. No es el final de Chito. No es el final. Él va a seguir siendo un peleador de élite. Sigue siendo un peleador muy bueno. Va a tener que seguir trabajando. Va a tener que seguir trabajando. ¿Cómo que retiro, Guaso? ¿Cómo que retiro? ¿Cómo que retiro? ¿Cómo que retiro? Tiene mucho que dar Chito Vera. Mucho que dar. El que me preocupa de retiro, es Gilbert Burns. Gilbert tiene 37 años y Gilbert estaba ganando la pelea. Pusieron las 3 boletas de los jueces. Gilbert estaba ganando la pelea. En los 3 jueces estaban viendo ganar a Gilbert. Al momento en que Gilbert sale del scramble, cuando Gilbert sale del scramble, recibe una rodilla desde la magdalena. Y esa rodilla es el principio del fin. La gran diferencia, y había que estar ahí en primera fila para darse cuenta de eso, la gran diferencia es que Jack de la Magdalena estaba pegando más duro que Gilbert. Y Gilbert había gastado mucha energía con sus intentos de derribo. Había gastado mucha energía con sus intentos de derribo. Es el poder de la Magdalena que se convierte ahora en una figura importante en las 170 libras. Gilbert da un paso hacia atrás, no es el retiro, pero yo creo que es el final de Gilbert con sueños de título. Yo se lo decía aquí a un colega que estaba conmigo acá, se lo decía a un colega y le decía, el gran momento de Gilbert fue cuando él tuvo a Kamaru Usman a punto de mate. Cuando él tuvo a Kamaru Usman a punto de mate. Señores, estoy viendo mucha negatividad con Chito Vera. Estoy viendo mucha gente diciéndole bulto y paquete a Chito Vera. Y eso no es justo. Eso no es justo en lo absoluto. Yo creo que Chito se entregó por completo, dio su máximo, pero no lo alcanzó. Hay que estar ahí, hay que estar viendo eso ahí al lado para darse cuenta la brutalidad, lo sanguinoliento que es este combate. Entonces, decir que Chito es un cobarde o que Chito no se entregó, señores, Chito nos acaba de dar una actuación brava, pero no le alcanza. Sencillamente no le alcanza a Chito Vera. Y por eso es que se cae esta victoria. Señores, aquí estoy, miren, la sala de prensa. Estamos esperando que venga Dana White en cualquier momento. Vamos a responder unas cuantas preguntas. Dice Jansen, Ebro, dime, ¿qué crees de Despaigne hoy? Me encantó Robelis Despaigne. Me encantó Robelis Despaigne. Y yo después les voy a hacer un comentario sobre el tema. Yo tuve al lado mío a Yairton Almeida y tuve al lado mío a Curtis Blade. Robelis Despaigne es más impresionante que ambos. Créanme, no estoy diciendo que sea mejor que ambos. Robelis Despaigne es más impresionante que Yairton Almeida y que Curtis Blade. Yairton Almeida le pasó a todos aquellos que tienen una sola arma de combate. Yairton Almeida le pasó a lo mismo que a todos aquellos que dependen de una herramienta. Mientras él no desarrolle un juego con las manos y dependa única y exclusivamente del jiu-jitsu, En algún momento le va a funcionar, pero no siempre le va a funcionar. Y no siempre, bueno, ahí viene Dana White, escuchen esto, escuchen esto.
What's up, guys? So, I never thought I'd be saying this. We're here in Miami. The gate was 14.14 million. It was a sellout, 19,165 people. The highest grossing event ever at the arena. We broke our own record, and it is the 4th highest grossing UFC event of all time. Miami is on fire. This place is unbelievable. What they've done in the state and in the city in the last 10 years is phenomenal. But anyway, fight of the night, Dustin and Benoit. Performance of the night, O'Malley. And we gave everybody who had a finish $50,000 except for Dustin, because he won fight of the night.
So we still got it.
Talk to me.
All right. Dan, I've only got you for a short time, so I just want to ask you first about Sean O'Malley and his performance. He wanted to finish his first title defense, but he didn't get that, but he looked absolutely fantastic. So what did you think overall of his performance?
He put on a clinic, and I don't know if anybody can finish Chito Vera. I mean, that guy's got a chin like nothing I've ever seen. Ate those 2 knees, big shots all night. I mean, everybody knows the power that O'Malley has. He ate all those shots, even shots to the body that he took, kicks and punches to the body. Chito Vera is one of the most durable fighters I've ever seen.
Yeah. You talked about the incredible gate tonight. I think they said on the broadcast it was one of the highest gates that didn't involve Conor McGregor. So I guess where does Sean stand in terms of star power for the company and
biggest bantamweight fight of all time? If you based off energy, excitement, gate, and pay-per-view, it's by far the biggest fight ever in the bantamweight division.
Where do you see his ceiling? I mean, our comparisons to Conor McGregor, I know it's a little bit tough. He's one of a kind, but I mean, is he one of the biggest stars we've ever seen in the
He's on
company?
his way. Yeah, he's on his way. He's the biggest star ever in bantamweight history. We can say that right now.
What do you make of these call-outs of Ilya Topuria? I mean, is that something that you're even considering right now, or is it too soon to be talking about moving divisions?
Well, it's not Tuesday yet.
On Tuesday, maybe we can talk about moving divisions.
Yeah,
All right.
I don't know about moving divisions. Yeah. You know how I feel about that. I mean, even Topuria was talking about not fighting anybody in the division after just winning the title.
Yeah.
That's crazy talk.
I want to ask you about Dustin Poirier as well. Obviously, future Hall of Famer, legend, fight of the night. I mean, what did you think of his performance and him at this point in his career?
These are the kind of fights, you know, when you talk about, I'm thinking how to say this. The fights, the fight that he took tonight with Benoit. I mean, everybody, when the talk first started, everybody's like, "Ooh, this is a bad fight for Poirier." Blah 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 blah. And then Poirier came out and said, "You know what? I didn't die." And all of a sudden, this is shit that makes you a fucking legend. These are legendary fights. When you go in and you face a guy who is a savage and you know, looks like you can't win this fight, or people think you can't win this fight, and then you go in and do it in spectacular fashion the way that he did tonight. A lot of these fighters get very, you know, you've heard it many times in the past. They want me to lose, or they're trying to make me lose. I heard some nutty shit the other day from somebody that I won't even mention, but we don't determine whether you lose or whether you win, you do. What we try to do is put on the best match-made fight that we can possibly do. And that's why big stars are built in the UFC and legendary fights happen every weekend.
Nice. Last thing for me, given his legendary status and his performance, when it is Tuesday, is he in the conversation for a title shot in his next performance? Yeah.
I mean, Poirier, again, like I just said, I just went through that whole, you know, his stock again goes through the roof. At his age, all the things he's accomplished, all the things he's done, look at what he did tonight. And I don't know if you guys are too busy typing or whatever the fuck it is you guys do during fights, but if you stood up there in that fight and saw the arena, it was insane. It was insane. And people were going nuts. Yeah, Poirier went to a whole nother level tonight with this fight.
Dana, what did you make of Michael Venom Page's UFC debut? I mean, he shot down Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland looked incredibly frustrated. What did you make of him?
Yeah, listen, he's got that style that's very, you know, he's he's a counter striker and you know, flashy. And we got to matchmake his next fight the right way.
Did you feel like Kevin sort of, I don't want to say gave up, but in the third round was clearly just like, I don't know what to do with this guy?
I don't know if he gave up. You know, I had Michael win in the first round. I had Kevin win in the second round, and then you got to go in and whoever wins the third round. That's probably the first time that Kevin's ever fought anybody cockier than him.
Earlier this week, Mike Tyson has been announced a return to boxing. I know in the past you said you didn't want him to fight again. You tried to talk him out of fighting again. Have you spoken to him about this one?
He gets mad when I do this, but Mike's 60, man. I don't know. What do you guys think about it? Who gives a shit what I think? It's not my fight. I love Mike Tyson, you know, personally as a friend, and he's one of my favorite athletes of all time. I don't know. Let's see what he can go in there and put together a training camp and come in. And you know, I don't like to see guys fighting it. You have 31-year age difference during that fight. Just, you know, you guys know what I think of that stuff.
That said, it is on Netflix, which is a new development, right? Them getting into live sports. Obviously, you have a TV deal coming up soon.
I think that Netflix should have gotten into live sports years ago. I think they're late to the game, but they are a force. They're a force, man. And when you look at the amount of homes that they're in worldwide, you guys heard me talk about this show Reacher. I posted about it. I love that show. I hate fucking TV. I don't watch any TV shows, hardly ever. Don't anymore. Oh, Reacher, right? I can watch it when I get home. I can watch it next week. I can, right? Live sports like this event tonight, you had to watch tonight. As all these massive streaming companies start to get bigger and bigger, they have to.
UFC kind of helped him out a bit, and then Michel Pereira got approval to do his dance routine when he walked out. So are we going to see more of this in the UFC? I know it's not something you've normally done in the past.
No.
So not a fan.
No.
Joanne Wood retired after the first fight. What do you make of her career in the UFC? I know she never got her title shot, but she seems to be one of these beloved figures.
Awesome human. Yeah, she's an awesome human, incredible fighter, and I couldn't be more happy for her. I know that, you know, I don't know how many years ago it was, but pretty recent, within the last 5 or something. You know, she went through some hard times and some ups and downs that people go through. She seems like she's in a really good place. Seems like she's really happy in her personal life, and obviously happy enough professionally to finally call it quits. So it could not happen to a better human being. Absolutely love her and wish her nothing but the best.
Last one for me. In Saudi Arabia, they've been holding a lot of these big boxing events, you know, with the pyrotechnics and all the glitz and glamour. Not something you also do really with the UFC. So are we going to see a lot of that when you do eventually hold your fight card there?
So I think the difference is that, and I don't know this for a fact, but I'm just assuming, the boxing events that they're holding, they're events, and they run all the production and everything else, and they put some money into those things, man. They really do. But when we go there, we'll be running the production.
Did you see the match, the boxing match last night? Did you talk to Eddie after it?
I did not. I mean, I saw it on social media.
Sure.
Yeah.
What did you make of that finish in the Francis fight?
What do you mean? What did I make?
Yeah,
what did I
like,
make of it?
when you saw it, like it was people are saying it's one of the more violent knockouts in boxing history.
Yeah, I mean, going into the Fury fight, if Fury trained for the fight and didn't show up and, you know, look like he ate Tyson Fury, it's probably the way that fight would have ended too. I mean, listen, the crossover, you know how I feel about crossovers in boxing, and that's how they end, just like that.
Dana, right here to your left. Joanna Jedrzejczyk getting into the UFC Hall of Fame this summer. I saw you guys got to share a moment after the announcement. I guess, what did you guys say to each other, and I guess what does she mean to you in the company?
We both said thank you to each other. You know, she's incredible. I love the first time I ever saw Joanna fight in the UFC. I literally went back and grabbed her and said, "Come out and watch the rest of the fight." We literally sat there all night and watched the rest of the card together. And from that night to tonight, we've become really close friends, and I have so much respect for her. And you know, she not only since when she was here, but when she retired. I mean, she still does so much stuff with us and for us, and she'll be with us for the rest of her life.
tonight's card had a 5-round co-main event. I know you guys have done this a few times. More recently, we're seeming to see it more for non-title fights. Is that something that going forward, like, could it be every card that this ends up happening eventually?
Well, you know, the problem is that like this card tonight, and even more so UFC 300, when you look at most of the fights on the card, you're like, damn, I wish this was 5 rounds. But, you know, you can't do it all the time. And we'll be sitting in the room and we'll think of these fights that is a co-main event. And we're like, well, let's just see if they both want 5 rounds. Or sometimes the fighters ask for 5 rounds. You know, they want to go 5 rounds. So it's sort of just kind of how we feel. But I think as fans, when we have great fights, like as you look through, we ran the first promo tonight for UFC 300. So from the first fight of the night all the way till the main event, I mean, every fight you wouldn't mind seeing 5 rounds of.
How difficult was it to, tonight was the first time we saw like the bout order as well. So how difficult was that to figure out where everybody goes? Like I saw a lot of people talking about Bo Nickel being really high. So how challenging was that?
I'm not kidding you. We literally finalized it today, or yesterday. Last night we finalized it. Right after the weigh-ins. We started moving a couple more things around, and then last night we said, all right, this is it. This is the card, because we were announcing it tonight. So if we didn't announce it tonight, we'd probably still be playing with it next week. It is what it is now.
Here, Dana, over here. Just curious what your thought was of just the whole atmosphere tonight. You had the crowd chanting USA, chanting Chito, all different flags from all countries. It was just, what were your thoughts just being here in that atmosphere?
It's incredible, brother. I mean, it really kicked off and started at the press conference. The press conference was insane, awesome. Then we roll right into the weigh-ins the next day, and then I knew tonight, you know, as long as some of these, you know, we got our holy shit moments with some of these fights, that it was going to be electric in that place, and it was awesome. Miami is on fire. I mean, I can't say it enough. This city's on fire. It's such a great destination when you talk about everything that makes the place a destination, and then it's become such a huge sports town and now a fight town. We came here, I came here with Anderson Silva, I don't know how many years ago, and we held a press event, and literally there was no press there. And we've put on a couple fights, the gates weren't great, but in the last 10 years, this place has just exploded.
And then finally for me, you mentioned 14 million plus for the gate.
Yep.
So is it fair to say that Miami will get another one? You'll come back twice a year rather than once a year? Is
I
that
don't know.
something
I mean, I'd come back next weekend. It's that good. And you know what's crazy is that, let me just put it to you this way. Probably the biggest venue you can do in the United States is Madison Square Garden, right? Miami is equal to Madison Square Garden now with numbers. Wrap your head around that and think about that 10 years ago. Would have never imagined it.
Your opinion on Robelis Despaigne knockout, it's a Cuban giant, 2-meter height. He was debuting tonight here in Miami.
Sir, I have no idea what you just said to me.
Robelis Despaigne, who
Spain.
who got a knockout tonight.
Okay.
And your opinion about his performance?
Yeah, knockouts are great. When you go in and you perform at this level, with everything that we were just saying about this place here tonight, the energy of the fans, and you pull off an incredible knockout, it literally doesn't get any better than that. Thank you, sir.
Dana, over here.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
I know Chito lost, but you guys, before the pandemic, had gone to Chile, had gone to Argentina. Given his popularity, how much media there was here for him and fans, is there a chance that the UFC visits Ecuador at one point?
Yeah, I mean, take Chito out of the equation, we end up in Ecuador someday anyway. Obviously, when you have somebody who's that's popular from that part of the world, it's like we're talking about Africa and Spain right now. Seriously, we're heavily invested in Mexico now. Yes, we will end up there someday.
And just real quick, any update on Spain?
No, not yet. Thank you, sir. Who is next? Go ahead.
Dana, continuing with that question, there were probably a record attendance from Ecuadorians. About 5,000 Ecuadorians were here, maybe before.
You can feel it.
Yeah, and more than 40 Ecuadorian journalists came to see Chito. It would be good if UFC goes to Ecuador one day, but what would be your message to Ecuadorian fans that they were, extremely explosive, electric tonight, here and back home?
This is what I love about South America. I mean, it's almost like that soccer mentality. They support their own, and they're very vocal, and it helps create this unbelievable energy at sporting events when you have these people from other countries, and Ecuador definitely represented in every way, shape, and form, and it was fun. I mean, you hear USA or I don't know what they were saying, something O'Malley, and then you hear Chito, and it's the best, man. It creates that energy, that buzz at a fight that you love.
Thank you very much. We had a blast here.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
Dana?
Yep.
Hello, Dana.
Hi.
I just wondering, what do you think is coming now for Chito after this fight? Do you think maybe in the future is going to be the third part of this fight between Chito and Sean O'Malley? Could be?
It could be, yeah. He's going to have to get back on the horse and win a couple fights, and who knows, he could work his way back up to O'Malley again, because yes, it's 1-1, so that fight could possibly happen. I'm not even thinking about that or considering that right now, but not saying it couldn't be a possibility.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who was the other guy that said?
Yeah, Dana, last one.
Over here. So I know you guys have deals lined up with places, agreements for locations ahead of time, but I have to ask, I had a couple of people approach me after the conference and today after, like you said, electric energy here in Miami. Is there a chance Miami becomes one of those stables where you go twice a year, or maybe?
That's what that other guy just asked me too.
Yeah, well, maybe for UFC 305, that's the specific thing they've been asking me.
That's interesting. That's interesting, yeah, that's funny.
Was that a talk at least, or is that
No.
up in the air?
Never even thought of it till you just said it.
Awesome. And obviously the Dustin Poirier, Benoit Saint-Denis, it was a great fight from round 1 and 2 till it ended, but Benoit definitely showed that he belonged. Is that a guy that you guys are going to keep giving these big fights, or?
Yeah, no, he's one of the best in the world. Listen, Poirier, like what I said when we started this press conference, what I said about Poirier put on another legendary performance and took himself to another level, and Poirier is one of the best to do it. So it doesn't hurt his stock at all, not even a little bit. He's another one now that's got to jump back in the mix and win some fights. He'll learn from this. Thank you. Was there one more guy that was trying to ask me?
Yeah, last one for me. Bryce Mitchell got his camo shorts. Sean O'Malley got his pink shorts. Brendan Allen, upcoming UFC headliner, wants purple shorts to commemorate his daughter, as well as his school's colors. Can you get purple shorts next time out?
This is when we know we've gone too long with the press conference, when we start talking about clothing. Sure, he can have purple pants. No, thank you. Good night.
Bueno, ahí escucharon las palabras de Nahuay. Señores, bueno. De Nahuay hablando de la actuación de Chito, de
Transport. Vera.
Bueno, los quiero mucho. Quiero mucho. Está hablando ahí con Chito Vera. Está hablando ahí con Chito Vera. Bueno. Está hablando de Nahuay con Chito Vera ahí. ¿Quieren quedarse para escuchar lo que dice Chito Vera? ¿Quieren quedarse para escuchar lo que dice Chito Vera? No. No, Poirier. Lo quiero. poquito más.
All good. Yeah. Well, Dustin, it's a career full of big wins for you, but man, I guess talk to us about where this ranks and just your feeling after this victory.
Before I answer the question, if Brennan gets purple shorts, I gotta get floral. First things first. It feels good, you know, to right the ship, take a chance, fight a guy outside of the top 10 when, you know, I don't even know how many, but my last opponents have been former world champions, huge main events, huge fights, and now got this young guy in his 20s who finished his last 5 opponents representing France, got a lot of momentum behind him and a country behind him, and I'm like, you know what? Let's see if I still got it to fight these young guys, and it feels good, man. You know, it feels good to win. It was a long training camp. It was stressful, had a lot on my back, and it feels good to win.
I know you said you were prepared for this to be a battle and knew it would be. It seemed like it was early on. I guess, you know, how difficult were the opening round, and was it different than you expected it would be?
No, I thought he was going to want to grapple. I really did. I was surprised at his punching power. In the moment in there, I didn't feel like he was a big puncher. He looked like a big guy, and he's finished guys on the feet. I mean, he's finished all of his wins. But I thought he was going to be a bigger puncher. When he was landing those shots, they weren't that much knockdown power behind him. But I was surprised by his strength. He was pretty strong.
Yeah. It seemed like in the second round, maybe there was a moment you thought, maybe I don't always have to jump the ghillie.
Nope. I never thought that once.
No, because it looked like it was there. You're like, maybe we should keep it on the feet. I'm having some success with my hands.
Yeah. Another thing too, like I thought he was going to be a little bit. He was physically strong, but I thought technically, I know he comes from a judo background. I thought his hips and his grip strength was going to be better against the fence. I took myself down every time. You know, when I was on the mat, it was because I jumped guillotines, and you miss all the ones you don't jump. First of all, but I thought he was going to be a little bit tougher with the takedowns against the fence.
Yeah. Last thing for me, I mean, you're at a point in your career where you kind of call the shots. I mean, you've earned it, right? But I mean, does a title shot, does that matter to you? Is that still the goal? And is that what you would like to see next for yourself? Or is it too early to make a call like that?
I mean, that's the only reason I'm fighting. When I started fighting was to be the world champion, to be the best in the world, undisputed. But we got to see. I got to get home and see what makes sense with my coaches and my wife and my management and just see what's next. I don't know. But yeah, that's. I mean, I've done a lot in the sport. I'm not trying to, you know, brag or be boastful, but I've done a lot in the sport, and I've been fighting for a long time. This was like at my 50th, or around my, maybe more, or right under 50th mixed martial arts fight. And I've done a lot, and I've checked a lot of boxes, but there's one that's still unchecked, and that's being a world champion.
Dustin, I don't know if you heard Dana when he was up here talking about you, but he was saying these are the sort of fights that make you a fucking legend, basically, and that fighting a young and hungry guy is what is important for you. Do you agree with that? Is that why you took this fight? Because you wanted to just be like, well, I know I can compete against these guys who've been around, but this guy might be the new generation. I want to see if I can compete against him.
It was kind of a timing thing in the situation of the lightweight division. There wasn't any big names to fight. I wanted to fight, especially coming up with a loss, and nothing was big that they could put together. But this guy's on a streak and has a lot of momentum. And when they offered it to me, that's why we did it. It just there was nothing else at the time. And then I honor what I do, man. And Eddie Alvarez gave me a shot when he was a former champion, and I was an up and comer. And you have to do it. That's the nature of what we do.
Were any of the guillotines close?
The last one was the high elbow was really close.
When you eventually do finish someone with that after jumping in, how excited are you going to be?
And I will. And I will.
Dustin, over here.
Yep.
Just curious, when you won the fight and then the whole place just erupted, has that ever been?
They probably bet because I was plus 200. That's why they
So I was curious, in your historic career, has it ever been like that, where the crowd erupted like that, and you heard it, and you just soaked it all in as well?
Yeah, I really felt in the moment this whole week, in the locker room, walking out, in the octagon. I really felt good. I didn't so much, you know, the adrenaline's pounding. He's getting up off the ground. I'm trying to go talk to him and let him know to keep working. And I didn't really notice it in the moment. So, yeah.
Right here. You had said, I think just a moment ago, that like camp was like stressful. There was a lot on your back and everything. Was that something specific in camp? Was it the outside?
No, that was just losing my last fight. Never losing 2 in a row. Fighting this young up and comer who's finishing everybody. Just the risk versus the reward. It was just like I had to win this one. For me, I felt like, so that was more stressful because I was putting it on myself.
I know tonight was your night, but do you think Benoit will get back up there into title contention?
I mean, he has the ability. He's proven it with all of his wins. You know, this is his first time getting finished. His first loss in his career was to a welterweight. I think, you know, not on a full training camp.
Short notice.
On short notice. So, and he's still young. If he dedicates himself and picks himself back up, and obviously he has the mental fortitude to do it. He's a military veteran, you know, so he's been through some things. If he decides to do it, I think he can. I felt it in there. He's very strong, and if he keeps evolving, getting better, he'll be right back where he was.
Forgive me if this is an ignorant question for your Louisiana, but like there is a lot of French connection in Louisiana. Was there any sort of like, how do the people there like kind of receive Benoit? Because obviously you said anything you post would just be filled with French flags, but how did the actual like? You know,
and I understand that they're supporting their guy. MMA just got legalized not that long ago in their country, and it's a growing sport, so I understand that. But no, there's a lot of French in Acadiana where I live in Lafayette. My dad speaks fluent French. You know, a lot of the Cajuns in Acadiana came from French Canada. You know, we got kicked out and relocated to Louisiana.
Well, Conor McGregor actually tweeted like good fight between a couple Frenchmen and even tagged the French was it president or prime minister, whatever they have over there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, he felt that right hook too.
Just one quick one over here, Dustin. You spoke about Media Day, how you and Gamrot had great training camp, and obviously you were primary training partners with him. So how did it feel going 2 for 2 with him tonight?
It felt great, and we pushed each other so hard this training camp. After his fight with RDA, he came back and stayed in the locker room the whole time. He's such a great teammate, hard worker. His nickname is perfect. He's a gamer, bro. He pushes hard. He's a maniac. But he told me in the locker room, remember, champ, don't jump guillotine. Don't do it. Circle off the fence, don't jump guillotine. He told me that multiple times.
What do you think would be next for someone like him? I mean, some people said that he shouldn't have probably taken this fight, or you know, what do you think should be next for me after that fight?
For Gamrot? Yeah. I mean, he beat a legend. He beat a former champion, a guy, you know, which I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. It's a great win on your record and a tough guy who's proven himself time and time again. And Gamrot has some great wins, you know. He beat Arman, lost to Benil, but he's a hard worker, always in the gym, always getting better. I mean, I think he belongs at the top of the division fighting for a contender status.
Dustin over here. I know you just fought, but what does a path back to the title look like for you think?
Man, it's tough to say. I don't know. The lightweight division has been so like murky and not a clear path to anything for anybody. And now it's even more so with Max coming up. Let's say he does beat Gaethje. Does he stay at 55? What's happening? I don't know. I don't know what's next for me, what opponent makes sense, who's available. There's a lot of questions.
It could be next.
And
I don't know.
I know your focus is on the belt, but a lot of people talk about a potential trilogy with Justin Gaethje since you guys are 1-on-1, and a lot of people are still kind of waiting on that Nate Diaz fight because it was booked at one point. A lot of people were excited for that. Do you see any of those two fights happening before your career said and done?
Man, I have no clue. Nate was a fight I always wanted. Gaethje hit me with the Hogan boot, so we might have to do it again. It's tough to say. I don't know. Thanks.
Dustin right here, you right? Speaking of the Hall of Fame, they actually mentioned on the broadcast tonight, that's somewhere that you're going to end up someday, and obviously tonight another fight of the night, and I'll tie in another record. I mean, when you look ahead to that, what does that mean to you to hear that from a broadcast team, especially that has a Hall of Famer on it?
We've been talking about it this whole week with my coaches. You know, like for the weigh-ins, they announced future Hall of Famer. Something else this week, they announced me as a future Hall of Famer. I mean, dude, that means a lot to me, you know. That's something special. I'm so happy for Joanna to get in. She earned that for sure, you know, and I'm just happy for her. She's a hard worker and done a lot in the sport, and especially for women's MMA. She deserves to be in there. If that's my destiny, I would love to be along those great names that are in the Hall of Fame, you know. It's kind of surreal, honestly, because time flies by so quick. I just remember being a kid, like, praying, just give me one chance to fight in the UFC and show these guys what I'm made of, you know, and now we're talking about that. It's just like, it's crazy.
At the same time, is it just a little bittersweet almost, where you're like, hey, I'm not done yet, I still got a few things to do?
Yeah, like I've said before, I have tread on the tires, and I think I can beat a lot of these guys. I can compete with the young guys. I can beat anybody in the world, I feel. We'll see. I don't know. I don't feel like it's... I'm 35. This is my 30th fight in the UFC, you know? So, we'll see.
Hi, Dustin. Were the guillotines part of the plan, or just you?
No, everyone told me not to jump the guillotine. Mike Brown told me 100 times this week. Gamrot told me a bunch of times in the locker room, at weigh-ins, don't, you know, it was part of my plan. Not the coaches. And I'll jump another one, I promise you. Thank you, guys.
Bueno, señores, ahora sí los voy a dejar. Ahora sí los voy a dejar, que tengo que trabajar para el periódico, tengo que hacer 20.000 cosas. Pero creo que han tenido una visión clara de cómo funcionan las conferencias de prensa acá en Miami. Los quiero mucho, mucho, mucho. Se me cuidan mucho. Se me cuidan mucho, mucho, mucho. Y mañana nos vemos. ¿Ok? Arriba con esos likes, arriba con esas membresías y muchas cosas buenas. Los quiero.